Why don't we start over here?
Yeah, hi. I think this last question by Carl just did that. I want to know, how do you live through the stress that kind of conversations we just heard that you went through, and kind of ambitions that you carry, and then how do you adjust to the everyday work-life balance, etc. things that in your life? So a little bit of your personal side, actually.
So you're very busy. How does that work?
Yeah, I mean, I am sort of in kind of work triage mode a lot of the time. So I don't know, it seems to be, as long as there's not like a crisis simultaneously at SpaceX and Tesla, it's okay. But you know, companies are, I mean, the situation in any given company, particularly when, you know, if it's sort of growing fast and sort of quasi startup, it's somewhat sinusoidal. So that, I mean, it's okay if you don't, if the waves don't crest together, you know. When that does happen, then that's a huge strain. But right now things are like, you know, motoring along okay, and I have like the context loaded for both companies, and I can sort of see a path to a good outcome. So I feel pretty good right now. But there've been super stressful times in the past, and then, you know, and then I always try to reserve time for my kids because I love hanging out with them. Like, I mean, kids are really great. I mean, they're like the 99% of the time they make you happier. Their kids are awesome. You know?
Yeah. Then there's that 1%.
1%, you know, like, yeah, 1%. But like, it's of anything in my life, I would say, kids by far make me the happiest. I mean, I don't know if, you know.
I agree.
Yeah, it's great.
I agree.
Yeah.
So
hanging out with them, like, so, like, no, like, things like, a lot of times kids are kind of in their own world, so you don't need to, like, they don't want to, like, talk to their dad for hours on end, generally.
I've noticed that.
Yeah. So, like, so I can be in the same room with them, they can talk to me from time to time, but, like, you know, I can get, you know, some emails done, just get some work done, and then whenever they want to talk to me, they can. And then we try to do things like, you know, travel places, and like I said, we play video games together, or actually on Monday we went to the new Harry Potter land at Universal. It was quite fun. Yeah. So I think that
somebody from Universal just clapped.
Yeah. I mean, whoever was in charge of Harry Potter land did a great job. It's really good.
Yeah, it is good.
I highly recommend it.
Yeah.
The butterbeer is amazing.
Yeah, I was just saying the butterbeer.
The butterbeer is amazing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right here.
Over here.
Hi, my name is Evan Burns. I'm the founder of Odyssey, and I hope into the future to be in something in the space industry. And my curiosity is, you've talked about SpaceX getting in many different businesses, for example, global Wi-Fi through launching many satellites. Do you hope SpaceX becomes a platform for others to launch businesses, or do you see SpaceX being a business that launches many business lines?
Well, I mean, the general strategy of SpaceX is to, like, we clearly need a lot of money in order to develop the transport system to establish a city on Mars. So, you know, we're like kind of gathering revenue, like Earth-based revenue that's, we're trying to maximize.
Is there some other
Earth revenue? Well, right now it's only Earth, so we've got to maximize Earth revenue as it relates to space, you know, as it relates to rockets and spacecraft. So, but I think, like, assuming SpaceX is able to transport large numbers of people and goods to Mars, it will be an enormous enabler for entrepreneurial activity on Mars, because there's going to be so much to do. You know, everything from creating like the first iron ore refinery to the first pizza joint to, you know, something that doesn't even exist on Earth. You know, it's kind of like when the Union Pacific crossed, you know, and like everybody thought, Union Pacific, what a stupid idea. You know, like there's nobody living in California. You know, well, okay, now there's quite a lot of people living in California. So just having it, you need the transport link. And so what SpaceX is trying to do is establish a transport link, and then try to create a fertile environment for entrepreneurs on Mars to flourish. And I think that will be an amazing expansion of entrepreneurial.
How long would it take to deliver a pizza from Mars?
Well, it's going to be a little cold, I think. But I mean, we can certainly see a way to get to Mars in under 3 months. And I think ultimately you'll be able to get to Mars in under a month. It does get exponentially difficult as you reduce the time. But you know, 3 months is a way to think of
Okay.
it. And I think that's probably, you know, that's really where SpaceX will, I think, create a great environment for entrepreneurial potential. Yeah.
Thanks.
Nilay?
I
Yeah,
hope
hi.
Domino's does not get to Mars. Please don't let it.
We'll have a special Mars
I
pizza.
assume you're going to be. I'm assuming you're
hey,
going to
hey.
be king of Mars. but go
Nilay.
ahead.
Here I am. So you're obviously very ambitious. That's led to some really ambitious deadlines that have been missed. So Falcon Heavy was originally 2012. The Model X was a little bit delayed. The Model X was delayed. The Model 3 seems to be stretching. But the Model 3 in particular is a consumer product. You're taking money from people against a really aggressive production schedule and a huge amount of orders. What are you going to do to hit your deadlines on that? Because it's real consumers this time and a big class of people.
Sure. I think the biggest thing is just designing the car for manufacturing. So in the case of Model S, like the Model S was the first time we'd really built a car, a whole car. Like with the Roadster, Lotus did the body and chassis, we did the powertrain, then we did the sort of final installation of the powertrain to the chassis. But the Model S was the first time we made a car. So we were just trying to make a great car. But we had no idea like what it meant to design something to be manufacturable. So the Model S is super hard to make, and then the Model X is built off of the Model S platform, except it's got a bunch of other whiz-bang technologies that make it even harder to build. So, you know, so I mean, definitely we want to do the opposite of what we did with the X, which is make something that is going to be a lot simpler. But still a car that people will love, and where every design decision is factoring in the manufacturability, and making sure that when we design something, that you can manufacture it at volume at an affordable price in the schedule that we're targeting. One of the things that makes a car very difficult, particularly if it's a new car, is that it's an integrated product with several thousand unique components. So we are somewhat at the mercy of whatever the slowest component is, whatever basically, I mean, if you say go to tier 2 and 3 suppliers, they end up being several thousand suppliers. So things move as fast as the least lucky and least competent supplier. You know, but just, and you can think of like any natural disaster you care to name, all of those things have happened to our suppliers. Their factory has burnt down, there's been an earthquake, there's been a, you know, tsunami, there's been massive hail, there's been a tornado, the ship sank, there was a shootout at the Mexican border, no kidding. That delayed trunk carpet at one point. Well, and we couldn't get, and the Border Patrol wouldn't give us the truck because it had like bullet holes in it. We just wanted our trunk carpet. Like it's pretty safe. So it's like no cocaine or anything. This is good. But you know that shut down the production line as an example for several days. So that's the biggest issue. Is like the supply chain stuff is really tricky. And we're trying to anticipate as much of that as possible, increase our optionality so that there's more internal capability at Tesla. Not that we want to do things internally, but if a supplier is unable or unwilling to deliver the part, we can quickly make that internally. So I think the whole company is geared for that. I mean, right now it looks like, you know, we should be able to do that. We expect to, I mean, almost all of the Model 3 design is done, and we're aiming for pencils down basically in about 6 weeks, complete pencils down. And we're tabling all, you know, like if there are ideas for future cool things, we'll have it in version 2, version 3, you know, in future years type of thing. So overall, I feel pretty good about it. And our supply, particularly our major supplier partners, have been very supportive and are on board. I mean, one thing I should say is when I sort of cite a schedule, it is actually the schedule I think is true. It's not some fake schedule that I don't think is true. So I mean, it's never it's I may be delusional. That is entirely possible. Maybe it's happened from time to time, but it's never some knowingly fake deadline ever.
So is there an event in 6 weeks where you're going to announce autonomous driving is included in the penciled down plan for the Model 3?
We're not expecting any event in 6 weeks.